All right. Just prepping everything. Anybody who knows, who's been to my channel knows, we about to get it in. As always, there's a lot to discuss. Trump is making it more and more difficult to not do my channel. Like originally, I started my channel, it wasn't supposed to be to discuss Donald Trump, but here we are, and I can't get around this, man. The whole nation, we're stuck with him right now. Tonight, we're going to go over some very important topics. Epstein and Trump consistently. Wait a minute. I do believe I have a typo in my notes. Let me get this right. I might have the wrong notes. I'm not sure what's happening. We'll clear that right up and get this going. I don't want to have to read the notes on my phone, so I'm just going to send them to myself again. No, that's the right notes. Oh, I see. I get it now. The first thing we're going to talk about is Epstein. Epstein doesn't seem to want to leave Trump's airplane. Before there was supposed to be at least 10 co-conspirators. Now we know there's probably 25, thanks to the only person convicted in the entire case, Ghislaine Maxwell, whom is currently trying to get out of jail. She did a writ of habeas corpus, uh, filed for herself to be like, yo, there's no proof on me. And she did it pro se. Like, I just want to get habeas corpus correct. I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly. Um, I'm saying it correctly. But I'm gonna is a fundamental legal right and judicial procedure requiring authorities to bring a detained person before a court to determine if their imprisonment is lawful, protecting against arbitrary detention by forcing the government to provide a legal justification for confinement. So, like I said, they should just making them. She's done these before. Now she's doing it pro se. And in English, that means it's Latin for something that basically means for herself. So she's doing it without her legal representation. She's representing herself with a writ of habeas corpus before the courts that have denied her over and over and over again because she thinks that this time is going to be different. What could be different? Trump could be different. The fact that Cash Patel lied about the co-conspirators in the past is something we're going to definitely cover. Fake video of Epstein's suicide being released with the files because the Congress released the files. Well, Congress demanded that I think it was December 19th the files be released. This was an act, the Epstein Transparency Act. It became a law. Like they literally made an entire law to release these files so we can end this. That was like almost 2 weeks ago now. And Trump's Department of Justice is like, we released everything. Same thing he was saying back in March with Pam Bondi. Then so they're crazy, right? So they said that they released everything, all 700,000 pages, all 700,000 files, excuse me. Oh, wait, wait. They found more files, about 1 million of them. Wait, and just in case you think your math is incorrect, let me straighten it out. So basically, they said they had 700,000 files, less than 1 million. Then they went to the court where the case actually happened, Southern District of New York. This is their department. This is their department that they where the case was actually done and found 1 million more files. I can't wait to talk about this and see how this is defended. I don't know if you know, we already did a video released to the public on this. It's very serious. ISIS bombed Nigeria. The bombing in Nigeria was a very serious act. They said they was looking for ISIS when they bombed Nigeria. We'll get into that and why that might not be the case. Russia called to support Maduro of Venezuela. He said, "We got your back." It's not exactly how he said it. He said it with a Russian accent. Y'all know how Vladimir Putin speaks. But he called Maduro and said, "We got your back." Now, that was last week. This week, the United States said, "Yeah, all right, whatever, embargo." Now we're starting to snatch oil. Like was reported here first, Trump was after the oil in the first place. He's trying to make his rich tycoon friends richer. He's trying to disembowel anything signed with the auto pen. Many bills that were signed with that auto pen were environmental protective agency bills, basically protecting us and the environment from things like burning coal and oil when we can use things like windmills and what else, solar panels and clean energy. He wants to destroy all the clean energy bills and put oil back on top. And so it's like, what would that do? So now, if oil becomes more valuable because we're not using clean energy no more, then we go after the oil, right? Boom. So now Venezuela is one of the richest oil countries in the world. The second largest supplier to China, as a matter of fact. Russia probably being the largest, because that's what these people do. So China called up, leave Venezuela alone. That's our oil y'all taking. That oil was heading here. So basically, y'all stealing from us. So Russia and China are behind Venezuela. Whew, a lot to discuss. Jack Smith was not allowed to testify publicly, but he did state that he had proof Donald Trump caused the January 6th insurrection beyond reasonable doubt. Now, I'm not an attorney. That's not my thing. But what I hear all the attorneys explaining is reported first in the Midas Touch Network. And these guys are all lawyers. This is what they do. I So when they talk, I'm listening. So y'all do this, right? And what they all said was reasonable doubt is what's necessary for a conviction. You don't need reasonable doubt to bring a case. That's a separate thing. All you need is suspicion, basically, to bring a case. Beyond reasonable doubt is enough to indict. No, indict is when you bring the case. It's enough to lock someone up. It's enough to get him on gavel, like guilty. I'm saying it's the guilty verdict. He had enough that Trump will be locked up for it. January 6th. Can't wait to talk about that. Europe was saying that America invaded Greenland. If Europe is saying if America invades Greenland and Denmark, they're gonna go to war. So right now, Trump is like, yo, we need Greenland for our security. We need Greenland. We need Greenland. We got to take Greenland. So now he's talking about problems with Russia. He's talking about problems with China. He's talking about problems with Europe. Where like that's everybody. Because the Caribbean is like, yo, y'all you sending ships down here to try and take over land that don't belong to you. So that's our southern neighbors. Canada's like, yo, we preparing for the United States to try and come here. You still talking about that 51st state nonsense. China's building up their militia for the United States. So that's our south and north borders. What else is going on? Nigeria, like just a random place in Africa. Oh, it's not quite so random. We'll get into that. There's the Erica Kirk and Nicki Minaj thing. Like, I think I might strike that. It's not important compared to the rest of this stuff. It seemed awkward. It's enough to talk about, but we have far more important things. Canada's talking about war with the US. I think I want to cover that. I mean, this is a news channel after all. And I just happened to get NBC just gave me my credentials as passing their first little level of understanding um journalism. I'm actually a real journalist. Anyway, Supreme Court in a 6-3 ruling ruled that Trump cannot take control of the United States military or federalize. So what does that mean in English? In English, that means that, yo, release the troops. You can't federalize the National Guard means that they belong back to the state. You no longer have a police force on the ground. The Supreme Court, with judges that he placed to make sure that he can get all his rulings, was like, nah, son, you wildin'. Yes, they're giving it a nah, son, you're wildin'. If you've been on my channel before, you know the nah, son, you're wildin' is a legitimate thing. The CFBP, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Let's say, so for those of y'all that don't know, I'm not a financial expert, right? But I've taken a loan or two in my life. I don't know if you've ever taken a loan, but if you do, the people that protect you to make sure that you're not getting taken for a ride on your loan for your car is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's what protects you. So Trump is trying to defund them so that you don't have protections. So that if you take a loan out for your house so that you don't have protection, so that I don't have protection. And they're like, no, wait, stop, chill. Congress is like, we're not allowing that. We have the power of the purse strings. Basically, they determine where the money goes. And Trump in the executive branch does not have that power. So we're going to talk about that. Oh, I was supposed to add this to that. We're going to talk about this. Give me 1 second. Supreme Court and 63 rulers they can't control it. Right. We'll add that there because that's important. So now that the courts have ruled against him, is he going to pull his power move? Is he going to declare a state of emergency? Because there's a law, an act that stops the president from just being able to send troops into a state to do police work. Now, I'm not a legal expert, but that's what the Posse Comitatus Act says, give or take. We'll go over it later for you in the show. But the Posse Comitatus blocks him. Now, he could do something like martial law, or in this case, what the equivalent of a martial law would be in the United States, which would be um the Insurrection Act, which he should have done on January 6th. And Jack Smith said that he caused the insurrection, which would have technically mean he shouldn't have been able to run for president, but that's neither here nor there. But I digress. We will discuss this in further detail. But if he declares the Insurrection Act, then it would give him the power to keep troops on the ground on an ongoing basis, which would be like basically martial law. This would be quite insane, but it does look like what we planned or what we called back in February, March is his ultimate goal is to declare martial law or to use the Insurrection Act to get around posse comitatus, which would mean he could just arrest anybody he wants, hold them without due process, habeas corpus or something like that, and just be able to continue to identify whoever he wants as a terrorist and just arrest American citizens and hold us. Trump said he would take 250 million and run for a third term. So we've reported on this in the past. In the think tank, we looked at the evidence and we've come to the conclusion that Trump is probably going to try and stay in power as long as possible. January 6th, he attempted it, but he had nowhere near the power that he's accumulated since then. So now that he's condensed all his power, I believe it's going to be an automatic that if he doesn't die before then because he's very, very sick, he looks like his mental deterioration is not catching up with his physical deterioration, which is he's like a zombie right now. Somebody's pulling the strings and he's a corpse walking around, but he still speaks fairly decent when his cognitive dissonance isn't impairing him. I digress. So, with that being said, I do believe that he might run for the third term or try to, but if he's around, which I don't believe he will be. And in a leaked CBS 60 Minutes video on migrants in prison in El Salvador, we heard how horrendous the conditions actually were. Now, we all speculated on this. We did not have evidence, but now the evidence is released. It got released in Canada. And instead of anybody being upset anybody in the administration being upset about how horrendous the conditions are. What they were instead upset about was the fact that the video got released. They are not disputing the reality of the video, not saying that the video isn't accurate, the accuracy being the word I'm looking for. What they're saying is you shouldn't have released it. The American people should not know what we were really doing to people. And we're going to discuss the fact that MAGA has an apparent Nazi problem. Now, we've been going over this just about every week, but Marjorie Taylor Greene called it. Now, Laura Loomer. These are the first ladies of the MAGA movement, even though some people might say it's what's her name with the accent that can barely speak English but supposed to speak 40 languages, that has a nude photos flying around Russian TV all the time, or the one who just got defended by her husband because she's continuously attacked by these Nazis, JD Vance. First, JD Vance's wife. So these are the stories that we're going to cover today. What I'm currently waiting on is my co-host to come in. I didn't realize that we'd already started. Thank you everybody for coming. I'm going to give a tap in to see where my co-host is. Give me one moment. Oh, where is he? Uh Wait, it says he's here. Oh, okay. I don't see him. Let me send him the invite code again so that we can get started. Because I'm just rambling on and time is ticking. Man. Oh, there we are.
Okay, there we go.
Looking sharper than me. I like it. Okay.
Yeah,
You
so
came
what
to
you
play
gonna
serious
need?
for once.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff. Let's see. Yeah, because I text you and all that kind of stuff. All right, so I'm on loud. I don't see the split screen, but yes, I was watching.
Oh, we don't have the split screen, because thank you for reminding me. And we've had people in for about 15 minutes, so we really need to get started.
Okay, I'm brought in. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, very, very good. Okay, now I can share.
All right, we should be sharing. Forgot about that. Uh, hmm.
Okay, we back in the tank, the think tank. That's my little thing.
All right. So for this type of if you heard what we're going to talk about today, we do this every week, 9 p.m. You can like, share, subscribe, hear what's going on. We will definitely keep you in the loop. You will hear fascinating, detailed, critical analysis of everything that's going on a federal level, and a lot of international things if it includes things that will unfortunately affect the United States and you as an American citizen, which there's a lot going on. If we go to war, let's say, it'll probably affect everyone. So we're going to, but we're going to go ahead and get started because we're so far behind, but it's fine. Sorry, I missed your message that you were in. I was trying to let everybody know that what was going to happen. So okay. Well, first, let me introduce everybody. For those who don't know, uh, welcome to the think tank. We use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, and just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased logical conclusions. I'm your host, Leonard Sanderson, newly affiliated journalist with CVS and all that. Got my little credentials. And I'm here with my co-host, the Honorable Dion Powell. Dion,
Family, it feels good to be back. Last Sunday of 2025. I'm District Leader Dion Powell of the Bronx Conservative Party. As you can see, I can dress up like a consultant and a community leader as needed. And I'm trying to go this in, so hopefully everybody likes it.
looking
2026.
sharp, my brother, looking sharp.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive in. And he's right. That's season's greetings. Ho, ho, ho. I'm not going to do that joke. Buddy, my adult side almost came out. And I'm from the hood. So my adult side has a little hood for me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're not going to get into all that. We got serious stuff, unfortunately, very serious stuff to talk about. So let's dive in. So I said the first thing we're going to talk about is Epstein and the fact that Trump was consistently on his plane, not the 6 times that he said, but many, many more. The fact that there were supposedly at least 10 co-conspirators, but has been released and confirmed by Ghislaine Maxwell, the only co-conspirator to be indicted and prosecuted for being a co-conspirator. There's at least 25 co-conspirators. Ghislaine Maxwell is now being held in a minimum security prison in Texas when she at first was being held in a maximum security prison in Florida because she was convicted of being a child sex trafficker until Donald Trump's attorney turned deputy attorney, second most powerful attorney in the land at the Department of Justice, went and had an interview with her. She said, "Oh, Trump is innocent. He ain't do nothing." And then right after that interview, she was whisked off to a minimum security prison where she now has a puppy dog and work release that she can go out anytime she wants into the general public, where she's being treated like a queen, where even the other residents in the prison are complaining where the guards are scared and being transferred out when they make complaints. Cash Patel lied about the co-conspirators. He said there was no co-conspirators. 25. And finally, there was a law passed by Congress that all of the Epstein files would have to be released by December 19th. I believe it was called the Epstein Transparency Act. His man had an entire law created to get these files out there because they were trying so hard to block them. The Epstein Transparency Act. And December 19th came and went. And he said, yeah, well, we're going to release the first batch, which is against the law because the law said everything had to come out. So they was like, oh, there's more to come. We're trying to get it all together. We couldn't go through it all. I thought y'all released everything back in March. That's what Pam Bondi said from the Department of Justice. You're lying. But more importantly, that was 700,000 files. Today, Sunday after Christmas, what is this? The 28th, 29th, December 29th, 28th, Donald Trump, the Department of Justice went and found there might have been more files in the Southern District of New York. The Southern District of New York was where Epstein was charged. So of course there's files there. You mean to tell me you didn't go to find the files where he was charged at? And how many files did they find? Okay, so on top of the 700,000 they had, they found a million more files? Wait a minute. Y'all found more files than you actually had? And it was where he was prosecuted? Woo. Dion, why do you think that this level of incompetency is occurring?
Well, check your text message when you can. I believe that they overpromise and they're forced to underdeliver. Now, what does that mean? They thought that they had all this information, they could just release it. However, there are certain checks and balances behind the scenes, I believe, in which the president and Pam Bondi and Cash Patel, and now the recently departed Dan Bongino was subject to. So that's why a lot of this stuff is happening this way, all these little hiccups. Yeah, that's how I feel about that.
So you're not seeing that this is an obvious cover up from the Trump regime.
Well, no, yes, of course. That's why this is one of the issues. Like I'm an 80-20 Trump supporter, MAGA supporter. I like 80%, 20% not so much. This is a 20% file, Epstein files debacle. One thing is for sure, it's not about the victims. That's very blatant right now. So,
And why do you say it's not about the victims?
because when I ask everybody who else is accused besides Donald Trump, name me five people, they can't. And I just actually lost a person on social media as a result of that back and forth. This person blocked me and all the other Trump supporters in their lives, allegedly. So there you go. I don't know why we're not side by side, but okay.
So let me try this.
All right, there we go. Okay, now we're side by side.
Yeah, you worry about little things like I handle what I handle,
Okay.
and we it takes a minute to show up, but it's I don't, all right. So perhaps you didn't hear what I said earlier, so I will replay a part of the dialogue that I earlier said. I don't know what the. All right, let me see this over. Let me just say it over. The reason I brought up Ghislaine Maxwell is because prior to very recent, we believe there were 10 co-conspirators. Ghislaine Maxwell confirmed there were 25 co-conspirators. The entire problem here is not Donald Trump. It's that he's protecting the other co-conspirators. That's what I said. Donald Trump is the problem because he's protecting them. You're protecting Donald Trump, so you're obfuscating. But the reality is that these young ladies want these co-conspirators brought out of the shadows into the light so that they can have closure. So, yes, this is about the victims.
Well,
Now, what were you
who
saying was the
are,
reason?
my thing is this, besides Donald Trump, who else are in the files that's being accused of doing any wrongdoing?
I'm going to say this again. I don't think, like, listen to the words that I'm using. Listen to
But
the
all these
words that I'm
pictures
saying.
are coming out. All these pictures and photos are coming out.
Please listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth and
I'm
actually
listening.
use your ears. Listen. Don't have a pre-programmed response. Listen to the words that I am saying.
Okay. Co-conspirators,
There are 25 co-conspirators. What do you think a co-conspirator is?
people that work together to actually accomplish a goal, conspiracy, conspirators.
So what they want to release is the other 25 co-conspirators. They're trying to release the other names. The problem is Donald Trump is blocking the release of the co-conspirators. The problem is he's blocking who the other people are. You want to know who the other people are? And that's all we're asking for is who the other people are. That's what we're asking. That's it.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from all the pictures that are coming out, with all the key name brand big figures like Bubba Clinton, why aren't we looking at them? That's my point.
Has there been any reason to look at him based on the evidence that was coming out? The pictures that came out,
Other
were any
pictures,
of them,
yes.
were any of these pictures, first of all, legitimate? Were any of these pictures placing him at the scene of doing something? Has there been any evidence of him doing something? What about, excuse me, the 25 co-conspirators that we know actually did something? That's what we want. Not random pictures of Bill Clinton or Michael Jackson and his niece.
You want Donald Trump. That's what you guys want. You want Donald J. Trump. That's all you care about. Not victims, not co-conspirators. You just want whatever evidence that's in there to take down Donald Trump. That's
I
is
have
obvious to
just
the
said
world.
about 10 different times we want the co-conspirators, but you're making it about Trump. This is what I said is Trump derangement syndrome. I am not talking about Trump. I said the other co-conspirators like 50 different times right now. And all you're thinking about is you can't stop. You're obsessed with Trump. But it's cool. You if that's where you're at with it, then the reason, in your opinion, then that this is not being released is because everything is about Trump, and later for the fact that we want the other 25 co-conspirators, it's so enraptured in Trump that the fact that we're trying to get the other people involved can't even penetrate. That is a very scary thing, but that's where it's at. So let's move forward since that's where it's at. Why do you think ISIS bombed Nigeria?
Well, according to
I'm
what
sorry,
I
the America
see,
bombed Nigeria because Trump said it was because of ISIS. My apologies.
well, again, they're killing Christians. So that's pretty much cut and dry. And that's what the president's made very clear.
Right. There's been the
No more, no
ISIS
less.
is. I thought that Trump destroyed ISIS. Like, didn't he say he destroyed ISIS? Now they're killing Christians? I guess he didn't destroy ISIS. I guess he was wrong or lied or something. But I digress. Let's
Well, you
not
gotta remember,
concentrate on that.
ISIS. Okay, fine.
Let's focus more on the fact that the activity for ISIS has not increased in Nigeria. So why is there a sudden bombing of Nigeria?
Well, again, that's what the case is. We're trying to protect Christians from being killed. That's what,
So like let me get this right because this is this is a wild argument. So a country is fighting terrorists inside, and instead of sending any type of support to fight the terrorists, you bomb the country. That's where we're at. That's what you're believing. That's what we're going to go with. We're not going to support the government in fighting terrorism. We're going to bomb them. That's the story. I just want to be clear.
well, yes, but again, I'm 80-20, so this is something I disagree with just more wars.
Do
So,
you so later for your disagreement? Do you believe that in reality, instead of supporting a country actively fighting terrorism, instead of supporting them, you just bomb the country instead? That you believe that?
do I believe it? No.
So what do you
Because,
think is the real reason? Because I have my suspicions.
well, again, I'm going with the real reason that's presented that they're killing Christians. That's it, because that's been known for months now, and nothing's been done about it. So,
We're going to circle back to this. I'm going to tie everything together. We're going to circle back.
please.
So Vladimir Putin called Maduro of Venezuela and told him, "I got your back, bruh. Don't worry about the U.S. I got you." And not only is Putin supporting Venezuela, but China is jumped into the fray because the U.S. has an embargo on Venezuela, but they're not going after anything. As reported here at the think tank, we utilize our critical thinking capabilities and realize that the real reason America was there is because of the oil. And now that it's been proven that the US only went after one thing, which is the oil, and now they're going after oil tankers, do you did are you part of the critical thinking community that understands that Venezuela was about the oil?
Well, it looks that way. But remember, the president has presented that they're trying to actually recover and recoup funds that they lost when the actual takeover years ago. So remember that? All the investment in the oil that was just lost.
That nonsense that
What
so first, hold on, wait,
nonsense?
wait, wait.
That was
I just want to go
nonsense.
through. I just want to go. I want to go. So first it was about fentanyl. Then it was election interference. Now he admits it's oil. That the order of things to where we're at right now?
It's multifaceted, as they say.
That's a good cover. That's a good cover. Well, China doesn't seem to believe it. As a matter of fact, China seems really pissed off because the oil vessel that they took was heading to China. So they actually stole from China. And so now China's jumped into the fray and they're like, you can't take Venezuela, you can't take a sovereign nation's oil. That's oil was coming to us. So now Russia and China is teaming up with Venezuela or backing Venezuela on the oil that was being shipped out. What do you think could, should, and would be done?
I believe now it's time to involve the United Nations and make them do their job to try to peacekeep the situation. Yes. So they should be the intermediaries and do their job, like a lot of international incidents. So
But you do agree that Venezuela is about the oil. Why do you think Trump is going after oil in Venezuela?
again, what the man said, this is about, past debts incurred when they change in regimes and those business deals collapse. And yeah,
Oh, right. So he's trying to get something back from 200 years ago. Got it. So yes, it was what you're talking about was over a century ago, literally. So if that's the story you're going to go with, I'll take that. Let's go back to Nigeria. You know what Nigeria has in common with Venezuela?
natural resources.
Not just natural resources. Sure, they have rice, they have oil. As a matter of fact, Nigeria is the largest exporter of oil on the entire African continent. The most resource rich country, I'm sorry, the most resource rich landmass continent in the entire planet. And they're the number one exporter of oil. So when we look at the bigger picture and we take a step back and see the forest and not just a tree here and there, we see that Trump is going after places with oil. Now, he came up with two different reasons before he went after the oil in Venezuela. Now in Nigeria, he's bombing, he's after the oil. Is it possible that what we said originally, that Trump is trying to kill the oil pen, releasing the EPA regulatory statutes that were signed so that clean energy is no longer utilized, and now we don't use windmills and solar panels. Now we go back to coal and oil. And that means anybody that has oil can become more and more wealthy. And perhaps maybe the reason he's attacking sovereign nations is because he's trying to steal their oil. Is that a possibility?
Anything's possible. But once again, the United Nations has to get involved if that's the
I
case.
think the United States has to get involved, and we need to stand up to this regime that's bringing us to the brink of war on multiple levels. Let's go through more of this. So we said Venezuela, we said Africa. Do you know that he's ramped up his rhetoric about Greenland again? He's talking
No,
about
that's
making
good
He's
with
like,
me.
we need Greenland. We need Greenland for our security. Did you know that?
No, this is news to me. Let's see.
Yes, please.
Excuse me.
And while he's talking about going after Greenland, and you know what the response from the EU is, if you go after Greenland or Denmark, because he's talking about Greenland and Denmark, if you go after Greenland and Denmark, then we're going to war with you. The EU took the gloves off. They're like, "Psst, yo, you go after them, you got it with all of us. Yo, you step to our man, we stepping it up with all of us. We all coming at your neck. Okay? Go ahead and make your move, bro.
Well, according to this, they they're calling prompted it to call in U.S. ambassador. Let's see.
I watched the
Denmark
speech.
says
I watched
Denmark.
the speech, bro.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, so far they're saying they don't want Greenland, so that's the latest news. They do not want Greenland. Let's see. Yep, that's about it.
Ah, all right. Okay. Let's do this because here at the think tank, we like to bring receipts, right? Can't just talk out the side of our face. Like, what? Ah, let's try this.
Landry to be new special envoy to Greenland.
Yeah.
How do you what do you see that role entailing, and is it still your intention that
Well, he
Greenland
called
become
me,
part
and
of the
you know,
U.S.?
he viewed Louisiana, the Louisiana Purchase. He said, "I'm governor of Louisiana," and he said, "I would love." I didn't call him; he called me. He's very proactive. He's a great guy. He's a deal guy. He's a deal maker type guy, and we need it for national protection. We need Greenland for national protection. They have a very small population. And I don't know, they say Denmark, but Denmark has spent no money. They have no military protection. If they say that Denmark was there 300 years ago or something with a boat, well, we were there with boats too, I'm sure. So we'll have to work it all out. But he felt very strongly we need Greenland for national security, not for minerals. We have so many sites for minerals and oil and everything. We have more oil than any other country in the world. We need Greenland for national security. And if you take a look at Greenland, you look up and down the coast, you have Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need it for national security. We have to have it. And he wanted to lead the charge. So we're making him, Marco, today, a special envoy to Greenland. Greenland's a big deal.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Well, special envoy to Greenland. There you go.
Wow. With that being said, his "we need Greenland" is he wants to take Greenland. The EU has responded, if you go for Greenland, we're all going to war. Now, that means that we would be going to war with the EU, that Russia and China are backing Venezuela and the rest of the Caribbean against us. So that is to our east and that is to our south. In the same breath, Canada is like, well, y'all still talking about making us a 51st state, and they're ramping up their military to be able to fight the US in case of an invasion. So to our north, east, and south, surrounding us, we have military buildup escalating. Do you think that maybe somebody should vote Trump out and sit like
He can't run again, so I don't know what you're talking about. So the midterms of this year.
you don't know what I'm talking about? I'm
The
sorry, go ahead.
midterm elections are this year. So if anybody has a problem with anything, it should reflect in the midterm elections. Trump is done, okay? Everybody knows that.
Wow, I guess you don't pay attention to the news that much. Jesus.
What, they're trying to make an amendment to the Constitution so that he can have another 4 years? Is that what's going on? Other than that, Trump is done. So everybody, it's only been 1 year. You have 3 more to go.
Well, we might be in World War III at that point. Like, you don't understand what's happening.
All this woulda, coulda, shoulda. They said
Woulda,
World
coulda,
War III the first time.
we have Canada
Yeah.
building up at our north. We have Russia and China supporting the Caribbean to our south. We have the EU supporting Denmark to our east. I think this is a little bit more serious than woulda, coulda, shoulda. He's been in office less than a year, and we're surrounded by people that used to be our friends that are getting ready to go to war with us. And that is not hyperbole. Do you not see that? Do you not get that?
But again, I'm not with any of this escalation of military conflict. So America first means America first, borderline America only. Let's stop these wars. A lot of people feel that way over here.
I would like to stop the wars, but Donald Trump is putting us in a position to be in these wars. And by the way,
President Donald Trump said billionaire Miriam Adelson offered him $250 million to run for
That's
a
not the
third
video.
term after.
I apologize. I thought that was a video.
Miriam gave my campaign
He's been in office less than a year, and we're surrounded by people that used to be our friends that are getting ready to go to war with us.
When somebody can give
And
you
that is not hyperbole.
$250 million, I think that we should give her the opportunity to say hello.
Do you not see that?
And Miriam, make it
You're
quick.
not get that?
Because $250 million is not what it used to be. Okay? Hello, darling. Come on. Incredible woman with a great husband, a man that loved Israel.
Loved Israel.
Mr. President, when you were in the Israeli parliament and you gave a speech and you saw me from far away, at that time I came with a scooter to the parliament just to hear you. I wanted to hear you alive. And then you say, Miriam Adelson, and I stood for a second, but it was so painful, so I said. Then you screamed, Miriam, stand up! And I wish you would have known, but I stood up and heard all your compliment, and thank you very much.
I saw you back there standing.
Yeah, you saw me.
She stood
Thank
up
you.
bravely.
And now I met Alan Dershowitz, and he said the legal thing about 4 more years. And I said, Alan, I agree with you. So we can do it. Think about it. And
Alan's
I
here
would be-
someplace. Where's Alan?
Alan is here, or he had a flight? Alan is here? Think about it.
Thank you.
Maybe I will be the first one who told you, or second. Yeah.
She said, think about it. I'll give you another 250.
I will give.
But her husband, Sheldon, was an amazing guy, and he'd come up to the office, and there was nobody more aggressive than Sheldon.
Well, there you have it, my friend. Sounds about right. Trolling as always with Trump. So
Trolling. That's what you came up
Donald
with that.
Trump, good at trolling. So that was a good troll because we all know realistically that's not happening.
I don't have words. Out of the old man's mouth, and so when he says something crazy like, I'm going to attack Venezuela January 6th,
Trolling.
4 more years, this is just him trolling.
And of course, you guys are just that Donald Trump.
He appeared very happy to me. That did not look like trolling to me. But I'll let the
That's just Tony
audience
Trump. Why can't you get people like you always fall for it?
falling for it. You say that every time up until he does the exact thing I say he's going to do. You literally do this every time. It's every time. You literally do this every time. It's wild. Like, but I guess that is what it is. That's going to be your defense of it. The man's got us in at 3 different points, getting ready to fight a war. We can't even. The ship that's been caught in Venezuela, the last ship that's been caught in Venezuela, the National Guard can't even get the oil off of it. They're like, nah, we ain't giving y'all nothing. And they're like, sitting there trying to wait to figure out how to do something about it, showing that the United States can't even do the stuff that he's saying, and he's making us look weaker. He's making us look weaker. He's making us look like a laughing stock. But I digress. All right. Well, one for you. Here you go. Let's throw you a softball. Erica Kirk and Nicki Minaj. Give me your take.
Okay. Well, I was there. I was in AmFest last week, America Fest, Phoenix, Arizona. The Sunday, the last day of, they said they had a mystery guest that's gonna, rock the world. And so I was like, who the hell could it be? So I slept in that day. But I got a text, whatever, and Nicki Minaj was the person. I was like, wow, okay, even I'm surprised at this. This is a very good move. And so when I went to go tag Nicki the same day, that Sunday, I saw her Instagram was like that Nicki Minaj deactivated her Instagram account. Fine, put a pin in that. And I already knew she came in knowing that she's going to get a lot of blowback because she's coming over to the right side, supporting the fight to save Christians in Nigeria. She said, it's okay for a boy to be a boy, it's okay for a girl to be a girl. Simple facts like that on this side of the fence that we all hopefully could agree upon that caused a lot of rifts. So I'm very proud of Nicki, and now they're trying to call for her deportation and got over 20,000 signatures. They said she lost 10 million followers and deactivated her account. That was false and a lie because, as you can see, I told you it was already deactivated that Sunday and beyond. So it was deactivated in October. So all these rumors.
Which account was deactivated?
Instagram. So if you ask AI right now, did Nicki Minaj lose 10 million fans and deactivate her account? It'll say no. She deactivated her account in October. That's a lie. She has over 200 million followers, so 10 million is nothing because she's getting more. There's a lot of people in this realm don't even know who Nicki Minaj is, and now they're actually starting to subscribe to her stuff. So she lost 10 million, but she's getting a new family now on the right.
Well, speculation is she's doing what she's doing because her brother and her husband
Okay.
are accused of child molestation, and she's trying to get them off, and she's doing what she has to do to gain favor
Makes
with
sense.
Trump.
It's a win-win. She's pushing people to Christianity and accepting Christ, and she's also trying to get that pardon. It makes sense to me.
I'm not Christian. I think that one cult beats another, whatever.
Well, as a
Listen,
believer, I'm proud of her.
if being Christian makes you a better person and brings you closer to God, that's for you. To force that on somebody who doesn't believe that, who might be closer to God in the way that God wants them to be, because God doesn't treat everybody the exact same way. Maybe He has another path for them. And, I understand. The problem I have with Christians is they're not accepting of any way, of any worldview outside of their own, like any other cult. I mean, religion. The cult religion is a type of cult. It doesn't matter. But I digress. There's different factions of Christianity. There are actually good Christians out there, and then there's some very evil Christians. There are evil Christians. I know that might be hard for a Christian to swallow, but just think about it. If somebody's in a different denomination, are they going to heaven? Ooh.
Yes.
Are there bad denominations of Christianity? What do y'all
Yeah.
think of Jehovah's Witnesses?
Well, it depends.
They're Christian. They're Christian.
Well, it depends. Certain Christians feel some sort of way about them, the Mormons, the Catholic Church. We all have our thing, but as long as you believe that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, then hey, you're in the club.
Right. This is the same Jesus Christ that led people across water to kill every man, woman, and to kill all the men, to make the children they own and rape the
That
women.
was Moses, my friend. That's somebody else.
I was talking about the Roman Crusades and the Roman Crusades. What else was it? The Spanish Inquisition. Christians. Christians. Anyway, I digress.
The Dark Ages, yes.
Christians.
Religions have their ups and down moments, but yes, here we are.
Christians. So, and hey, Chrissy. Now, trolls can look happy while they're trolling.
Yes.
However, he isn't trolling right now. I mean, any belief system could have bad apples. There you have it. I'm
3,000
loving that.
viewers. 3,000 viewers. Yes, this is great.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming out. We love the numbers. Thank y'all for the support. So Nicki Minaj pushing people towards your religion makes you happy. Anybody in any cult, religion is happy when people come to join. And enjoy your blood of Christ or Kool-Aid or whatever you call it.
Oh boy.
What? They literally use Kool-Aid, right?
No.
Depends on the church.
That's
Sometimes
fine.
it's
Some
wine.
people use wine. Some people use non-fermented wine
And some people use
leavened
freaking
bread.
Kool-Aid.
So
Yes. So, Supreme Court in a 6-3 ruling case that Donald Trump cannot take control of the state military. Basically, the Supreme Court, Donald Trump's Supreme Court wins 99% of his cases, ruled that he must release the National Guard and that he cannot keep a police force on the ground in places like California. Do you think that the Supreme Court made this ruling knowing that this was not going to be something that MAGA liked? I mean, you told me before, we need this. People on the ground are happy and this is making police safer. Well, then why did the courts rule against it? Why did Donald Trump's courts rule against it?
well, because obviously it's unconstitutional. We may love it and want it, but it's unconstitutional. Just like student loan forgiveness across the board. Understand? People want student loan forgiveness, but looks like the Supreme Court and these guys said, hey, it was constitutional across the board. So that's how it is, the Constitution.
There are no numbers outside of those coming from the White House. The local people that actually keep the numbers are saying that the crime wasn't reduced. It was moved from one area to another. Or the troops over there, and I can't hold that corner down, but people still going to want their fentanyl, so I'm going to sell it over here. They're going to come to me. They're going to find me. They can't police everywhere. There's only like 10,000 of y'all, and we got more. Come on, stop it. That sounds stupid. Y'all don't know math. Huh. So basically, what was said was that they reduced crime in some areas, and the crime picked up in areas that weren't as bad because the entire area can't be policed, so that nothing was really done. All they did was move the crime around and try and finagle the numbers. So no, did not help. And when you think about it using common sense critical thinking, and you look at it and you say, well, times are getting tougher. Food stamps is being played with. People's medical insurance is being played with. Prices is going up. You think people is just going to be like, nah, I'm not dealing drugs no more? Like, this is how I get my money. This is how I feed my kids. You sound stupid. I'm going to find a way. Because that's what it is. Do you honestly think crime went down because the National Guard, who doesn't know how to police, they weren't trained to police, were there? Do you think that people that don't know how to police were actually going to be able to actively, correctly, and with some sort of efficacy police streets and neighborhoods that they're not familiar with?
Yes, I believe that crime did go down when National Guard was present. Now, with local police working with National Guard, because of certain sanctuary city laws, that was so you blame sanctuary city laws when it comes to law enforcement, ICE, and the National Guard being very cooperative with each other. So,
Well, let's dig into this a little bit deeper. You said ICE. We know that ICE is a terrorist organization. They terrorize people. That is the definition of
oh
terrorists.
God, they weren't terrorists under Obama, the deporter in chief.
They
So
wasn't doing things like they wasn't playing Grand Theft Auto in real life, smashing
they
people's
didn't have the
windshields
media
in with
microscope.
masks on. Media, yes, the media was showing what was actually happening. These guys were terrorists. That's why they wanted to keep their masks on. The things they were doing, they didn't want to get caught on camera. They didn't want people to be able to identify them for the crimes they were committing. They don't want to eventually, but they will, be called to justice and have to stand up for the acts that they were committing. Eventually, they will have to. Of this, I am sure. Not in this regime. If we survive World War III with this regime. But let me ask you a question. So Trump no longer has his police force on the ground. And what you're saying is they were a police force. They were supposed to be protecting citizens and doing crime. So that makes them a police force, which,
No.
so what was their reason for being there?
Remember, the National
What was
Guard
their
was
reason
sent
for being
in.
there?
I'm getting ready. The National Guard was sent in to protect the ICE agents from doing their job and also, de-escalate certain high crime areas. And in a state of
De-escalate
emergency,
high crime areas is by definition a police action. That makes them a ground police troop. That's what it is. You're saying they're
the
not police.
Supreme
They
Court
just
ruled in your favor. So there we go, by city by city. So they figured it out long term, but that was the intent. Understand? But
the
it was
intent was that
illegal
the intent
according to the
was
Supreme Court.
the intent was to have a police force on the ground because that's what it was. Even the Supreme, even his people's like, that's a police force, can't do that. And you know why he couldn't do that? I believe I explained this to you months ago. Something called the Posse Comitatus Act. Does that sound familiar?
Yes, we review that. It looks like the Supreme Court agreed in these state by state scenarios that it was in. Understand? Because the
Oh,
immigration,
I'm not a legal expert, but I do have some understanding. I can read. The Posse Comitatus Act is a U.S. federal law generally prohibiting the use of Army, Air Force, and Marine Corps, and by extension the Navy, for domestic law enforcement, preventing federal troops from acting as police unless explicitly authorized by the Constitution or Congress, upholding a tradition against military interference in civilian life, though exceptions exist for extreme emergencies like the Insurrection Act, which is where we're going, right? So there's no real martial law that's ever been declared in America. There's not really a law on the books for martial law, from what I understand. It looks like the closest thing that we have for martial law would be the Insurrection Act. And now that Congress and the Supreme Court, the other two co-equal branches of government to the executive branch, the president, have ruled against the president in being able to have a police force on the ground, which is not legal. The only way around it was be for him to declare the closest thing that this country has, which is to martial law, which is the Posse Comitatus Act. Do you think Donald Trump is going to declare what is basically equivalent to martial law and utilize the Posse Comitatus Act to keep a police force on the ground for civilians?
No, unless there's some sort of national emergency.
So you're in denial.
No. Remember, when the COVID pandemic happened in 2020, Trump did take measures to do such situations when it comes to locking down the government. However, the Democrats kicked and screamed to make sure he let loose of those emergency powers. So we've been through this before with Donald Trump.
We've never been where we're at now with Donald Trump in this country. We've never been in any way, shape, or form under any administration where we're at right now with this administration. And if you can't see that the fact that we're being threatened to have war on three, like, didn't, like, with three, like, yo, we're an isolated island on the other side of the world, and somehow we still got three different areas that we're talking about, three different sides that they're talking about declaring war on us. We're supposed to be isolated. That's supposed to be the entire point of, like, we still got three different fronts we're fighting. This is insane. Plus, our troops are thin because he's trying to send troops into cities of anybody that might be against him. Blue states, blue cities, excuse me. Anybody against Donald Trump, he's sending in the troops. Your blue city was sending in the troops. Oh, your crime is high. Everybody happens to have high crime right now. That's stupid. Everybody that's blue has high crime right now. No, everybody doesn't have high crime right now. Everybody's numbers actually, a lot of the places he sent the troops in, the numbers were going down. So if that's the case, he was just sending in troops from any place where he might have political enemies. But I digress. That might be a little complicated.
Memphis, did he have political enemies in Memphis, Tennessee? Remember that situation? And the mayor first thanked him and then had to recant. DC Mayor Bowles is another one that's not running for re-election. She thanked him too. That's amazing, isn't
You know, I didn't see those reports. Why don't you show me that?
it?
I heard the claims. You can share. Show me
we
that. I
have
don't
we have a
believe.
lot to get through, Leo. We're
Of
going to
course,
be
you
back
can't
early.
show it because it's not true.
Oh, well, let's see this whole situation again. DC Mayor thanks Trump troops.
I do recall a phase where they had to bow down to Trump. I do
They had to
recall
bow
that in
down to
DC.
Trump. Oh, now they bow down to Trump.
No, I do
Never
recall that in
mind, Carrie.
DC.
Yes,
No,
good.
no, I do recall that. Show it in Memphis, but I mean, I'm not gonna make you show something I know to be true. Show it in Memphis, but I do remember because what happened in Washington was they had no choice.
DC, remember the Doge staffer that got beat up. You don't remember that situation?
I remember that situation. The reason they had no choice is because it's not really a city. The territory is actually controlled by the federal government, so they had no choice. That's what happened. Am I wrong?
Well,
Show
here
me
we
in
have
Memphis.
also
Show me
Memphis.
Bowers.
You want to see the Memphis mayor thanking Trump? Is that what you want to
Yes.
see?
Because I know the rest of the people was not very happy.
Everybody was happy. The black people were happy. It was like, oh, this is great.
No. Black people are not happy to see people walking around in troops like this is Nazi Germany. No. If you believe that, then I got a bridge I could sell you. It's called the Brooklyn Bridge. The box is only this big, but it's just a deed. It's only $450,000. You can have it. I mean, if you can buy that, you can buy this too, man. It's a real deal. You can make money off every toll that goes by. You can make some money. You get your money back in like a week. No, you don't. You don't want to talk about making this deal. Come on, you're a MAGA man. You're the art of the deal. Come on, let's make this deal, man.
Yeah, the internet is not very helpful when it comes to these searches about good news about Donald Trump.
Oh, I thought you went to Yahoo because you thought they were better, or Bing or
Microsoft
whatever
Bing.
nonsense you do. So anyway, the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, is at risk of being defunded by our criminal executive branch holder, President Donald J. Trump. Why do I bring up the fact that he's a felon when I talk about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau? Why does him being a felon matter with that particular bureau? Because the crimes he did was stealing money. Crimes he did were felonies with money. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is the agency that protects you when you take a loan, a car loan, a mortgage, the big loans. That's the agency that protects you. Donald Trump wanted to defund the agency that protected people when they take big loans. Why do you think that is?
Here we go. Well, if I could just, I found what I needed. If I could just go back a second here before I answer that specific question. And here we are, family. Hopefully, we will all see it right in black and white, or as in this case, blue and purple and white. Memphis Mayor Paul Young has expressed gratitude for the National Guard troops being deployed to the city, despite not having requested their presence. Hopefully, everybody can see that right here live. And hopefully, there's no lag. It's right here. Read yourself. Damn, the AI be lying.
Oh, wait a minute. What does it say at the bottom? Young has also been advocating for law enforcement funds and additional patrol officers to strengthen the Memphis Police Department's efforts. He has been cautious about the deployment of National Guard, stating that he does not support it and does not have the authorities to stop it. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Well, what does the first sentence say, my friend? Express gratitude for the
Yes,
National
he's
Guard
just as
troops.
he had no choice, so he went
He
with
had
it.
no choice. There we go.
But,
Go.
and on the very screen that you shared, he did not want it and did not support it.
All right, well, let's switch gears again to the next
I'm
point.
just saying, if we're going to bring up facts, the fact is he did not want it and did not support it. Those are the facts.
What
Now,
happened? I just read the first line. He expressed gratitude. He was glad when they were there.
yeah, I'm glad you're
Plus, the
here. Thank you.
Democrats
That is
put
not,
pressure on him. The Democrats put pressure on him to recant, like I said.
he never said he wanted them. He didn't ask for them. He never said he wanted them. But what is he supposed to do? He had no choice. They were coming regardless. So you could try and make it seem like he was happy about it. He expressed gratitude. He played politics. At the end of the day, he didn't want them there and wanted them out. But the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, why do you think the crime in chief
Okay.
wants to defund the protection of people taking big loans? Why do you think he wants to defund them? Congress said no, by the way. Congress is like, nah, you're like, come on, man, you're doing criminal shit.
Well, the
Why do
answer is
you
very
think?
obvious because as a Republican, he doesn't believe in regulation. That's a fact. They don't want less government inside private business affairs. So it makes sense to me.
But this isn't a regulation. This is a protection. This is well, I guess you could say it's a regulation. So he
It's like
doesn't want.
environmental protection. He got rid of that too.
So he doesn't want people to be protected when they take loans, because that's what these people do. This is the agency that protects people when they take loans. That's like, they're the ones that protect you. So he doesn't want people to be protected when they take loans. Who do you think would benefit in that situation? Oh, probably his rich oligarch friends and banks, right?
Who knows?
Who else could possibly benefit if only they benefit? Do you think that the fact that the people surrounding him are the ones that benefit might have something to do with the fact that he's wants to defund the agency that protects the common person?
Once again, they don't like regulations. So now we'll see what happens in the Wild Wild West when it comes to these kind of loans. People have to be more
So
responsible.
no, it's not about being responsible. It's about the fact that they can do what they want with the loans, rescind their loans, increase the interest rates beyond legal parameters. You don't have protection anymore because the people that protect you are being defunded, except for the fact that even Congress has come together once again. They're like, wait a minute, time out, lame duck, chill, lame duck, chill, lame duck, chill.
Good. Congress is probably doing its job. and having its voting members go to public record and actually speak out with their voting pattern, which is good. Now the constituency can see that they're actually fighting for them.
Well, they had no choice. When I told you about 2 months ago that something happened right before the government shutdown, during the government shutdown, and I told you this was it and Trump was done, if you recall, because we like to get to things first and talk about it first here on the think tank. So I reported on it and let everybody know that Trump's power is over. Because he likes to threaten people. We're going to primary you. We're going to primary you. And his threat of primarying was dilapidated based on the fact that the things they were doing was so unpopular that you could run against somebody that he places in areas where you couldn't run against them before because they were opening their eyes and seeing how badly he was hurting them. The economy being the number one thing, but it was led by the Epstein files. But the economy is what's killing him. If it wasn't for the economy, he'd be good to go even with the Epstein files. So while you're like Epstein and Trump and using this to get Trump, we don't have to utilize Donald. We don't have to use Epstein to get Trump. We want to just get the victims their peace of mind so that they can finally close this chapter of their life. With Trump, we don't need to use Epstein. We have the economy. We have the economy. We don't need Epstein. We just want. We're stuck with the Epstein because Trump won't let it go, and Trump won't let it go because he's implicated, and we know this. So yes, Trump comes up over and over again with it, but we're not after Trump with it. We're after closure for these women. Trump is protecting himself, so he's making himself the center point of this. What we want to get Trump is the fact that the economy is doing so bad. We want to get Trump on the fact that we're going to war at 3 different fronts if he keeps doing the things he's doing. We want to get Trump on policy. Him breaking the law and being a felon with the Epstein files, we know he breaks the law. Do you know what happened with him and Jack Smith?
Jack Smith, who dropped his case. Is that what we're talking about? Jack Smith?
Jack Smith was called to Congress. Jack Smith was called to Congress to testify. You know what he said?
Very good. Yes, this is great. Now we can get to the bottom of this raiding Mar-a-Lago and trying to
No,
get
we
all the
can't.
files
We
and
can't.
those wonderful
We can't.
things that
We can't.
was just one big circus.
We can't. Jack Smith
prevent
said,
him from
okay,
running for
fine, let's
reelection.
do this. I want to testify publicly. I want my testimony on the record. And they was like, no, we're not letting you testify. You go behind closed doors. You can't testify on the record. They would not let him testify on the record. But, you know what we do know about his testimony? He said that he had proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, why that matters? There's a certain things you need to indict. You need suspicion. You need to prove that you have basically, I'm not a legal expert, but basically you need suspicion in order to indict. But in order to get a conviction, you need proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Jack Smith says he has proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and he can prove it with his testimony. And you know what his people said? Nah, you can't. We're not letting you. Nah, you can't do that publicly. And they wanted him to testify, and they kept it behind closed doors. And he says it's because I have testimony I have proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and they will not allow him to show that evidence. So we can't get to the January 6th and what's going on with Mar-a-Lago because Trump won't allow it. He's scared. So we don't need Epstein. We don't need to use victims. He needs to keep these victims silent because he doesn't want to get implicated. We just want closure for the victims. We want to get him for the crimes he committed. We want to get him because he's a felon and a villain. And we want to get him on policy. We want to get him on the fact that he's destroying healthcare. We want to get him on policy. We want to get him on the prices are outrageous, that the affordable home crisis. We want to get him on policy. The fact that you can't get Epstein out of your head with Trump is because Trump is trying to use that to defend himself so that the stuff doesn't get out when all we want is closure for them women. I got daughters. So I can make this real personal. I want to see closure for them kids, for them women now who've been traumatized. Every time this thing comes back up and Trump is just making it and kicking it down the road, trying to distract us. That's why we go on That's why we're going after Venezuela and Nigeria. It's a distraction because he's trying to get away from his name being in the Epstein files.
We already know his name is in the Epstein files.
But what
Got
did he
nothing to
do
do
in
with
the
the
Epstein
victims.
files?
Got nothing to do with the victims. There's got to be some other accusers in there that's not being released, which is another problem. But entirely, everybody's focused on Trump, the wrong culprit, as
Thank
always.
you, William and Emily. I'm doing my best,
Who
man.
else is in there? Yes, who else is in the chat? Let's see.
So, again, if Trump would just release the files that he's been hiding for 9, 10, 11 months now, this could all be over. We've already seen the emails where he was alone with a 15-year-old girl while she was being trafficked in the place she was being trafficked during her trafficking by himself there for hours on end. We can only imagine what happened in that time frame, in that space that she was being used as a, what is the word? I'm trying to find a way to say Smex toy. She's being used as a Smex toy. He goes in there and he's alone with her for hours in that space. He's already been accused on multiple occasions of being a participant. One person dropped the case citing being scared because Donald Trump's lawyers went after her. I believe that was Todd Blanche. Another one has surfaced. If we know that he was alone with girls that was being trafficked while they were being trafficked, and this has come out, and that's the stuff he's not hiding, what the hell is he hiding? How could it possibly be worse? But
How
it
come
must
they said
be
it come out under Biden's administration? They've been sitting on these files for years. So the
because nobody
public
was paying
doesn't believe
attention.
it. The public doesn't care as much anymore because it's not about the victims.
You don't think the public cares anymore? Is that your story now?
They not because they figured out it's not about the victims. It's all about trying to find something to expose Donald Trump. But
The stuff we want to expose Trump on is policy, the economy, health care. We don't need Epstein. We need these victims to find closure and peace. We don't need Trump. The only reason that they're not getting closure and peace is because Trump is implicated. That's it. That's the only reason.
okay.
So it looks like we're going after Trump because in reality, in a way, we are going after Trump. But we're not going after Trump because we're after Trump. We're going after Trump because he is the door for these girls to get their release. He is bodyguarding their sanity. He's the villain to them. We're trying to protect them, and he's putting himself in the way. If he moves out the way, then we can get on to the real stuff. They can find closure, and we can move forward. He won't let it go. He's the one who made a big deal out of it in the first place. Biden wasn't caring. Nobody was thinking about him. We were trying to recover from COVID. Nobody was thinking about the Epstein files. We didn't know they were real. Nobody thought it was this serious. He's the one who pushed this. He and his cronies, the people he got in charge, Cash Patel, Don Bongino, Pam Bondi, Don Bongino. These people were the ones that was pushing it. Then they got there and found out he was the ultimate shark in the swamp. I'm sorry, the ultimate alligator in the swamp that he claimed he wanted to drain, and suddenly there's nothing to see here. Unbelievable. Just release the files. Just release the files. You said you was going to do that back in March, Pam Bondi. Why the files? Why you just found 1 million more files? I don't believe you're that incompetent. I believe that it's a cover up the entire time, and these girls need their closure. And anybody who's not saying, you know what, let's just give the girls a closure so we can move on. Oh no, it's just an attack on Donald Trump. Already drank the Kool-Aid. But I digress. I hope it was fruit punch. Leaked CBS Minutes video on migrants imprisoned in El Salvador. Whew, that one. What do you think about the 60-minute video on the migrants in El Salvador?
I think this time I agree with Barry Weiss that these people are so Trump deranged that they're unable to objectively report the news, where she's trying to bring the news back to the center and not be so negative and put out a lot of extra points that are negative towards this administration. And put
So you
actually,
don't know what happened? Is that what happened? You don't know what happened?
well, that's what happened last time, that Barry Weiss pulled the segment because she believed that the reporting was horrible. And it
That's not what happened here.
Isn't this the one about the El Salvador investigation or the deportation?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, last week, Barry Weiss pulled it from being aired because she didn't like the reporting that they were doing because it was too extra critical of the Trump administration because they didn't provide all the information. Now, that's something else changed.
Well, all they did was report what actually happened in the El Salvador prison.
It was slanted. There's people being treated very well in those prisons, and they were reporting that entirely. So
So they were in.
that's
Oh,
right.
y'all listening to this? So they were in an El Salvador prison being treated very. What standards do you consider very well in an El Salvador prison?
They weren't being tortured. How about that? But that's
What about the
the
ones that were so because some of them weren't being tortured, we're not allowed to report on the ones that are?
well, again, Barry Weiss, CBS, that has been reported. So they went all the story, not just the slant, its version, where they
Well,
nitpick.
when you have a human piece like that, you want to report on what's happening. And some of these prisoners being tortured, raped, excuse me, the things that were happening to them were happening to them. And you're saying it shouldn't be reported because you didn't report that it wasn't happening to everybody, though. That sounds crazy.
The whole story, the good, bad, and ugly. Not just
There's
the
nothing good about people being whisked off to a camp in El Salvador. Like, there's nothing good happening there. If you think there's something good happening there, I don't know what to tell you. It's crazy. I mean, viewers, they were in a prison in El Salvador with all of the gangs and everything else. And they said some very bad things happened to them there. And the defense is, well, it wasn't happening to everybody, and they didn't say that.
Well, again, Barry Weiss, being in control of CBS, she felt that it wasn't the complete story and they weren't doing proper reporting the way it should be presented. And that's what people do in the editing room. So you can't just let your reporters do it and say anything that actually may not be true or
But
factual.
no, I mean, no. The stuff was actually true. That was not a, that didn't happen. It was true. Um, I do believe Donald Trump made a phone call, and some Trump supporters was like, well, this story is slanted. I believe that was part of what happened. But what really happened was these people were really treated that way, and they didn't want that leaked. I mean, they didn't want it leaked. You want me to report, you want me to be like, well, this person was molested and this person was beaten, but everybody wasn't treated that way. That's the report you want? I mean, because we didn't say everybody wasn't treated that way? I mean, have you ever met somebody that has gone to a prison in a foreign country in like in the Caribbean? Like, have you ever met somebody from there?
Yeah, but
Believe me,
this
there
is
wasn't a
their
whole lot of
country,
good stuff.
Leo. You're forgetting
Sorry?
this is their country. They're El Salvadorian. So,
I guarantee you there wasn't a whole lot of great treatment happening.
okay, well, the fact that you have to remind people, or I have to remind people that these are El Salvadorians that came into the country illegally, they're
No,
back in their home
no,
country.
no.
That's
That's
not true?
not what happened. No, not at all. No. You don't remember the plane that got flown out of El Salvador? You had people from you just had regular. He made a deal with the president of El Salvador that anybody that was here, he could just send them there. You had people from
Oh,
all
yeah.
types of countries there.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
So no, it wasn't El Salvador because the people from El Salvador, if all they did was come here illegally, they can go home. So no, that's not what happened at all. It was just random immigrants.
Migrants that came into the United States illegal. Yes. Okay, let's make sure that
Not
fact.
all of them, no. Some of them were not here illegally, like Grego Garcia, who, as I reported back in April, was going to be released because he was not a criminal, and it happened. You know, no, everybody was not illegal. Who was, by the way, not from El Salvador, but got tortured in El Salvador. He was one of the people, not from El Salvador. He was one of them. So no, and none of that is true. Gregor Garcia. I'm glad I remembered that name. Cop came out of nowhere and was a showstopper. It was like, yeah, I remember that. Damn. Right? With the fake tattoos, they put fake tattoos on him and was like, see, he's a gang member. They put AI tattoos on him. Like this administration is
That
putting
one I
AI.
don't know about. I don't know about those fake tattoos. I know he was a gang member though, and he did beat his wife for domestic violence, being accused of. But yes,
No, he
I'm
was
sure
not.
you can find that. Margie told her
You
son.
already know. No, Gregor Garcia was not a gang member. And they put fake tattoos on his knuckles. They put fake tattoos on his knuckles. Okay, so you say you don't know about it, so here we are. That's the tattoo that they said was there. That's the tattoo they said was there. That's what Trump was saying was there. This is the images. Where's his real hand? That's his left hand. Where's his left hand? Because they showed the images of him was images, just images without without tattoo. The real that's his.
Well, now look at that.
No, we saw the clean images. I'm looking. Hold on. We saw the clean images. This is what Trump was saying. MS-13. Oh, wait, there's no MS-13. It's not here. It's not there. There's no MS-13. That's the same tattoo. That's his hand. It's not there. It's not true. This is Trump, MS-13. It don't even look real. It don't even look. Look at that stupidity. That's not a tattoo. It's not even like it. Come on, man. Stop it.
Photoshop,
That,
Photoshop,
that look real to you? Dion, does that look real to you?
Photoshop, Photoshop.
Right, exactly. It's not real. He was not an MS-13. It was fake.
So those tattoos aren't gang related, you're saying?
I'm saying he didn't have the MS-13.
But those tattoos aren't gang related, you're saying?
Let me see. Let's go back. I see marijuana leaf. I don't think that's gang related. I don't know what the smile of death, the cross, and the skull. No, it doesn't look. MS-13 tattoo. That doesn't look. Oh, what is this? See, it says pot leaf tattoo on. It's a pot leaf. It's weed, bro. It was weed gang related. I don't know. Maybe, but no. I want to go with no. I want to go with. See this fakeness. See this fakeness. They no, no, no. I don't. No marijuana smile. The cross. I don't know, man. No. No, no, this is not. No, no, this is not. No. See, that's his hand. There's no MS-13. See, no. Well, Trump's ludicrous tattoo tirade ought to raise a lot of questions. Oh, there we go. It's ludicrous. Who said this? Press Watch. I don't know who they are. But no, no. As a matter of fact, he had one crime that he was convicted of the entire time he was here. It was found that one time he got a speeding ticket. That was the only thing he was convicted of, and that's why he was released. That's what happened, not the nonsense that Trump was spewing. He had one crime, and it was the time he got pulled over. That was it. Otherwise, they'd have been able to deport him. They couldn't because he didn't have any crimes. That's how that ended, in case you didn't follow the story. It was all a lie. It was all a lie. That's why he wasn't deported. They tried it. They literally made up tattoos. They literally photoshopped and made up tattoos for this dude. Horrific. This is what your administration, this is the kind of thing your administration did. They literally made up tattoos. That is what happened. Those were the facts of the case. That's unfortunately how that ended. Let's see what can't can't you burden upon Yahuwah. Cast your burden upon Yahuwah, and he shall sustain you. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. Tehillim, Psalms 15:22, Sefer. And of his fullness, all we have received the grace of grace, Yakanan. Interesting. So, Yahuwah. I'm going to assume Israelite, either Israelite or Jewish, because they're using Yahuwah, which is Jesus. No, Yahweh. Yeah, Jehovah. Jehovah. They're using Jehovah, but they're using like um Aramaic. So this is somebody who speaks from the either Arabic or Aramaic, not Arabic, it's Aramaic. So this is probably this is probably an Israelite. Anyway,
Hebrew Israelites. But in the meantime, yes, I found something here for something else, which is very good.
it is crazy that the Epstein fallout is still shaking everything. What do you think about the fact that Laura Loomer has now joined the MJT in saying that your that your MAGA party has a serious Nazi problem?
Oh, well, I can explain that one. So, seeing as though a lot of people are more America and criticizing Israel, Laura Loomer, which I've been, full disclosure, I've been on her show. She figures that a lot of these people that are speaking out against Israel are more Nazi-ish. So white supremacy, she believed, are the white supremacists that are down with the Nazi party and anti-Semitic. So that's the label that she's labeled. Understand?
Well, I thought it was because we had Elon Musk and we had
Oh boy.
what? He was giving sick wasn't he? We had let me see. I can keep going. I need to think of a couple. Let me see. Oh, what's your boy's name that we talked about last week? Or we talked about the dude that I can't remember his name. That did not like what's his name, Kirk? Charlie Kirk is going against the president. Oh, I can't
The guy
remember
that
his
didn't like
name.
Charlie Kirk?
No, yeah, the one that's the white supremacist
Oh, you're
from
talking
your
about
MAGA
Nick
party.
Fuentes. Nick
Yeah,
Fuentes.
yeah.
The Groypers.
Yes, yes. Your Nazi friends.
They're not my friends, my friends.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, your fellow MAGA supporters.
right.
Maybe Laura Loomer said there's a Nazi problem because there's a Nazi problem. And the Groypers are just one example. The Ku Klux Klans, these guys. Maybe there's a Nazi problem because there's a Nazi problem.
Well,
No?
that it could be true on the right side. That could be true. But still, the reason why Laura Loomer is using this language because the movement, even at AMFEST of more people speaking out against Israel, it's easy to label those people anti-Semitic and Nazis. So the word Nazis, unfortunately, sometimes loses meaning, like Hitler, when you call it like Donald Trump. People are using it too much. You know what I mean? When it's actually people that have legit grievances with this
They're
America
calling
First
themselves
Israel.
neo Nazis. We're not coming up with this name.
They
You have an
exist.
entire
They
MAGA
exist.
movement calling themselves, you have an entire group within the MAGA movement calling themselves neo Nazis. Are you not aware of this?
It's possible. So there you
It's
go.
possible, so you're not aware.
Yes, I am aware.
So then, is it a yes or no?
I'm
Like
aware, yes. So Marjorie Taylor Greene has I'm Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm sorry, Laura Loomer has a point, but the thing about it is it's a broad brush of people who are not neo-Nazis that shouldn't be labeled that or anti-Semitic. They're just being America first. And she doesn't like the stuff that they're speaking about Israel, okay? Because now I have to order some food. And before it closes at 11 o'clock.
Okay, well, we're almost done. I just want to, like, these are the type of things that's being reported by PBS. I see why he wants to shut PBS down. How Trump filled key positions with people who spread extremist views. That would make me want to shut down somebody, that's for sure. American Nazis. The Aryan Freedom Network is riding high in Trump era. Oh my gosh. Neo-Nazi, Southern Poverty Law Center. I don't even know what it's just random. No, that's not. I'm just random clicking. Neo-Nazi, The Guardian. What is this? The neo-Nazi group plots rebuild as Trump's FBI chief takes helm. Oh, whoa! They're plotting to rebuild the neo-Nazis. I can keep going, but I don't have to. I'm randomly clicking articles, and everybody putting out. Everybody seems to know that they have a Facebook page. Holy smoke! Hold on, wait. There's a Facebook page for it. Oh my God, y'all have a Facebook page.
Okay.
Wow, this is crazy. Neo-Nazi, white supremacist, and violent rights fringe groups are amplifying and celebrating must Nazi salute. Oh, well, we know
They
that.
exist, Leo. Okay. So there you go.
Without question. So being that, I guess that's the end of this. Again, if y'all enjoyed the content, like, share, subscribe. I'm working to make my first independent film, stepping up outside of the television commercial realm where we're trying to do feature-length film. There's a link in the description box. You can become a producer on this show. You can buy your way in. We can do a Kickstarter crowdfunding program. You can be a producer on my first movie, Garot. We'll give you more information on the website. Dion, you said you had found something. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we depart?
No, I gotta try to catch this place so I can get some dinner. But yes, we are the media, and now so are you. So please pay attention by sharing our content to your network and then make your own comments on top of it.
Yeah, well, everybody in the MAGA party is not Nazis, obviously. Dion doesn't look like a Nazi. He got the shaved head. But
No,
I
but no
don't think he's a
mustache.
Nazi. Are you a Nazi, Dion? Are you an undercover Nazi, bro?
No, I am not, my
That would
friend.
explain a lot. Are you sure?
Yes,
You're
I'm sure.
black. Whatever. Anyway.
Yikes.
All right, let me let this dude get something to eat.